Welcome to the Self Love Model. On this podcast, we have open hearted and honest conversations about all things self love and the journey of self discovery. This podcast is for those on an everlasting journey of their own evolution, and most importantly, a safe space for us to heal together. I'm your host, Sid, and welcome to your self love session. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Self Love Model. It is another beautiful day to be alive, and I am filled with so much love today, knowing that you guys are here listening. And I hope you too can feel the love that is always all around you. And speaking of love, that is what we'll be talking about today. I know what you're thinking. You're like, whoa, Cindy, smooth transition, you smooth operator. Why, thank you. I worked very hard on that. In fact, this is my fourth time re recording this episode. So, I actually 2 days ago had recorded this episode and spent hours recording. But then when it when it came time to editing the episode, I just knew it wasn't good, and because I knew my energy was off. Your girl has been sick. I'm still a little bit sick, but energy-wise, I'm definitely doing so much better and we're definitely on the up and up. Thank God. So when I was trying to edit the episode, I literally couldn't even sit through the episode. Like I played 3 minutes in and I was like, yeah, no. No, 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 no. I can't do this. I cannot get myself to listen to this because I just knew energetically that I was off and I knew the episode wasn't what it needed to be or what my standards are for an episode. So here we are again, back at it again, round two. 2 days later, I am re recording this episode. And I say it's my fourth time recording because the first day that I was recording, I literally had to keep starting over. So this is my fourth time re recording this episode. But today we are feeling good, like I said. Energy wise, definitely doing so much better. We're on the up and up. So I have a really good feeling about this. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Cindy. I started this podcast because I have been someone who felt lost, confused, and I was stuck in a victim mentality for a long time without even realizing it. I was going through life reacting to everything as my hurt inner child and letting life control me. I was a shell of a person until one day I simply decided. I decided that I no longer wanted to feel this way. That's when I started my journey of healing and self love. I essentially became my own therapist and started a self healing journey. I've been on this journey for almost 5 years now, and it's been such a beautiful journey, and I've learned so much along the way. And that's why I started this podcast to share what I've learned on my journey and to continue to share what I am still learning because this healing journey, it's a forever thing. There is no end place or destination that we will reach. We're not healing to chase perfection because newsflash, perfection is boring. I am all about embracing my true authentic self, and that includes my chaoticness and my extra fabulous self. So if you're new here, welcome, and let's get this episode started. Today's episode is inspired by my recent revelation and realization I had on Valentine's Day. So the revelation that I had was that I didn't know what love is, or more so, I didn't know what healthy love is. So now let me share with you guys what happened on Valentine's Day that led me to this revelation. Like every other couple on this lovely Valentine's Day, Chris and I decided to celebrate as well. And the day started off well. We decided to make an art project together. We got this giant canvas, plaster, paint, and we made this beautiful texture art through trial and errors. But we did it, and I'm super proud of us for doing it because now it is hung up in our living room and it looks so cool. And I'm just so proud of us because this is our first artwork that we have on our wall. And it's been over a year since we've been living in this home. So, very, very proud. And if you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, I'll put up a picture of our painting so that way you guys can see and like visualize. But it was honestly so much fun. We had a freaking blast doing it. And it was really easy. Like Chris and I, we are not artsy like that. Like, yes, I'm an artsy girl, with photography and all that good stuff, but I don't really consider myself artsy like that when it comes to like painting and when it comes to painting and stuff like that. With that being said, I highly recommend if you've never made your own artwork before, I would highly recommend you to give it a try with either your partner or your friends because platonic love is just as important as romantic love. After our little art project, we decided to go out for dinner, and that's when things took a turn. During our dinner, I wasn't having the best of times, and things started to bother me, and certain thoughts began to pop up for me. We started to have a discussion. I'm going to call it a discussion because I don't think argument is the right word. I felt like it was more of a discussion. We started to have a discussion, which the words breaking up even got brought up. Crazy, right? I know, I know. Your girl, she can be a little toxic sometimes. We are still healing and working through these things. And thankfully, I have a partner, Chris, who is very healthy when it comes to relationships, love, and all that jazz. I don't know how I got a man who is so stable and secure with himself that he never gets triggered by my storms and he is my rock through it all and he is able to communicate with me and he understands me and I am truly so grateful to have him in my life. Even though we got into a little bit of a disagreement during dinner and that it wasn't like the perfect dinner, I wanted to share this because the thing is, relationships are not perfect. Relationships take work and relationships are challenging. Our partners mirror back to us what we still need to heal from. And oftentimes, our partners can trigger us the most. And this is something that I've realized within my own relationship is that when you become so comfortable with another person and that person becomes your safe space, that's when you start to really let your guard down. And when you're with that person, that's when your inner child really comes out. And our partners gets to see this part of us that not a lot of people get to see. And oftentimes that can be the not so pretty parts, the shadow parts of ourselves. Chris and I were able to communicate and work through this little tiff that we had. And we ended the night with a cuddle on our couch and we watched a movie. And it was nice. We had a lovely Valentine's Day despite the little disagreement. But you know what? I think it just adds character. And I think it really just goes to show the strength of our relationship and the way that we are able to work through things and communicate each time that something comes up and become stronger together. So after the movie ended, we started to get ready for bed, and that's when I had my revelation. Chris was brushing his teeth, and I'm literally just sitting in bed, and all of a sudden, I had this thought: what is love? Do I even understand love? I started to think about all the fights that Chris and I have had, and don't get me wrong, we really don't fight that much. It's very once in a while, or especially like around the times of my period. Things are a little bit, more high emotional for me. But I started to really question my idea of love and where I got my idea of love. And that's when I came to a realization that outside of the relationships that were modeled for me growing up, which had its problems, my idea of love was entirely based off of the media. Movies, TV shows, romance novels. And if you start to think about the type of love that is often portrayed in media, it's usually very toxic love because drama, and it's often unrealistic as fuck. And I am a kid who grew up watching a lot of TV. I spent a lot of time by myself and I loved to watch TV. It kept me entertained and I could live in this little fantasy world. And I just love all the character development and I just really would get into these shows. Not only that, I am also a Libra who is a hopeless romantic at heart. So I am a sucker for any type of romance, like movies, shows, rom-coms, fantasy romance novels. And without realizing, those movies, TV shows, and books had ingrained an idea of love that was unrealistic in my head. I had this idea that love should be exciting, full of passion, and grand gestures. Okay, for example, let's think The Notebook, which is one of my favorite all time movies. But if you think about it and if you rewatch it, the relationship that Noah and Ali has in that movie, it's actually very toxic. And as I was doing my research on this topic, there were a lot of articles that popped up about Noah and Ali's relationship. So if that's something you guys like want to look into yourself, definitely look it up. There's a lot of interesting articles about it. But for example, in the movie, Noah and Ali, they're constantly fighting. It's like a big outbursts every time and it's like they're constantly arguing, the constant back and forth, but then they make up and they have this hot steamy sex and it's portrayed as such a romantic thing. It's like romanticized that, oh, true love, it's filled with all these big outbursts and fights, but that's what true love is. And then you make up and you have this passionate sex and it's exciting and passionate. And not only that, in the movie, Noah displays a lot of grand gestures in the pursuit of Ali. And as I was doing my research, I found out that the book actually didn't have all those like fights the way they had in the movies. So the movie, they changed those parts and they so in the book, originally, it really the love that they had was not toxic like the one they showed in the movies. But the reason why they added all those extra fights and all that in the movies is to add the dramatic effect because drama equals more attention because that's what gets the viewers watching and that's what gets people hooked. So a lot of times in these medias, it's a lot of these romance novels and movies, shows, it's filled with a lot of dramas. And subconsciously, that is the message that is sending into our heads without us even realizing. Another example would be Twilight. Y'all, I am a twihard, okay? I read the series like probably 10 times. I am not even exaggerating when I say this. I am a twihard through and through, and I still am, even though the love that is shown in Twilight is also very toxic. Okay, Edward? I am I'm team Edward. I don't know about you guys, but our man, it's a bit toxic. And when I was telling Chris about this, he laughed at me because he was like, he's a vampire. Like, he's a vampire. It's not real. And yes, I know that. I know that it's not real. It's fantasy. But I found this article, which is going to further prove my point. So just stick with me here, okay? So this article is on Latter Day Saint Mag. Okay. So this article is on Latter Day Saint Mar. Why can I not say that? Okay. This article is on latterdaysaintmag.com and it's titled Are You Falling for the Media Portrayal of Love? So in this article, she talks about an intensive book case study of the book which which analyzed Edward's domestically violent behavior, which included jealousy and isolation, controlling behavior, push for quick involvement, sudden mood changes, and force during an argument. And then it goes on to say that even though fictional media relationships are supposed to be obviously fake, I'm not alone in believing media relationships to be real and normal. Several studies have found that people subconsciously soak in the harmful beliefs and views they are watching, allowing it to affect their behavior and determine norms. One study found that books with abusive behavior like Twilight persuade teens to stay in unhealthy or even violent relationships because they don't recognize the behavior as inappropriate. Another study found that having unrealistic expectations about what a relationship should be or what a partner should do often leads to aggression and frustration, especially in males. So, once I came to this realization that the media has heavily influenced my idea of love, that's when everything clicked for me. The truth is, the best kind of love is the boring kind. And I don't mean that in love should be lifeless, loveless, and that you're with someone who you have obviously nothing in common with and you're just there for comfort. I don't mean that kind of boring love. What I mean is that yes, passion and excitement can still be a part and exist in healthy love, but that is not the foundation of healthy love. The foundation of a healthy love is stability, trust, and emotional safety. And I absolutely love this quote by Samantha Irby in her book, We Are Never Meeting in Real Life. She says, real love is not a game you don't understand the rules of, or a test you never got the materials to study for. It never leaves you wondering what you could possibly do to make it come home and stay there. It's fucking boring. I don't walk around mired in uneasiness, waiting for the other shoe to drop. This feels safe and steadfast and predictable and secure. It's boring as shit, and it's easily the best thing I've ever felt. Thank you, Samantha Irby. I absolutely love that quote. Feel like it describes it very well. And I hope this episode has inspired you guys to really think on what your idea of love is and where your idea of love came from. Were you like me? Like, am I the only crazy one? I know I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. But were you guys able to relate to me in that you're like, oh shit, like Cindy, I didn't realize that I think I'm the same way as you and that you were also influenced by the media. I'm seriously so curious to hear you guys' thought on this topic and what your idea of love is and what you feel like love and what love feels like to you. And I really want to know, where did your idea of love come from? So if you guys answered any of these questions, I would love to hear your thoughts. I had so much fun writing this episode out, even though it was a bit of a struggle. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did recording it. And if you answer any of those questions, I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts and what your idea of love is. Wow. You guys made it through another episode. I am so honored. Thank you for your time. And if you've enjoyed spending your time with me today, make sure you are subscribed wherever you're listening to the podcast. That way you guys can stay in the loop and get notified every time I release a new episode. Until next time, be kind and be you. Love you guys. Bye. Is your